Hi, my name is Joe Saban, and this is the L-shaped matrix, the individual quality tool presentation that I completed for PMR 613, Project Integration and Quality Management. Professor is Dr. Karen Rainford. Throughout this presentation, I will go through practical usage for this quality tool, the L-shaped matrix, any advantages that there is to using this tool, any disadvantages there is to using this tool, the inputs that people put into this tool in order to get the required information that they need, also outputs that they will get once the information has been reviewed using this tool, additional options gathered to gather data, so pretty much what other tools can be used to gather the same type of data. I will go over a conclusion and show some references. The articles I used to discuss the L-shaped matrix and what I got some of the information from. The first one was a bandwidth reduction algorithm for L-shaped and Z-shaped grid structural graphs. This is done by Mr. Goss and Mr. Arthia. The second article that I got was from a matrix diagram from the CI toolkit. This was not a peer-reviewed article, but I thought it had some good information that was relevant to this matrix. And the third one was the extraction of state-to-state reactive scattering attributes from wave pocket. It was pretty much a chemical reaction scatter plot. That was done by Zegon, Hu, and Zane. So those are the three articles that I used in this project. Some practical usages for the L-shaped matrix would be sports. Some items that you could use it for would be scoring, stats, and tournaments that you're preparing for. As far as school projects, it would be like comparing research projects or events. Conferences would be to show what is being discussed or compared. Scatter plots is just a template used that sort of like an L-shaped matrix. Business meetings would be for like times, dates, games, would be tournaments, or an example of a game that uses this type of thing would be Yahtzee. And then for chemical tests, it's just like one of the articles that I looked at, use scatter plots to plot their chemical test on, which is related to an L-shaped matrix. Next we're looking at comparing the advantages of the L-shaped matrix and the disadvantages of the L-shaped matrix. Some of the advantages to using an L-shaped matrix is ease of use. There's only a select number of items you can put in there. It only compares one thing to another or one thing to itself. So you're either comparing it to itself or comparing it to another item. So it's not very, you can't go in depth to multiple different items that you're trying to compare. It can be used over a broad range of topics and ideas within those select number of ideas that you can use. It is easy to explain as it's just comparing one item to another or comparing one item to itself. Disadvantages to an L-shaped matrix is the select number of ideas. You can only put so much into that graph. Can't incorporate other items into the matrix. Like we talked about, it's just comparing one item to itself or one item to others, and then small amounts of information. Inputs for this L-shaped matrix are really two items, a three-step process, and then customers' requirements and prioritizing is really the same thing. So you're really prioritizing customers and requirements in order to get information to put inside the graph. As far as the three-step process, the first step is to build the matrix by entering the names of the elements to be prioritized. The next step is to compare the elements to each other on a one-to-one basis to determine importance. And then the last step is to divide each individual row by the grand total. That's the 3 steps in order to build your L-shaped matrix, and then also prioritizing the customers in the funnel. For this slide, I'll just read the 10-step. I took this from the matrix diagram from the CI toolkit. It was a good article off the internet that I used. It shows you a 10-step thing, how to build an L-shaped matrix. Step 1 is to clearly explain to the team the purpose for building the matrix. Step 2 is select and collect the 2 sets of data that need to be prepared. Step 3, agree on the symbols and their values. Step 4, construct a 2-dimensional table. Step 5, insert the first set of data on the left-hand column and the second one on the top row of the table. 6, work through the matrix and discuss the relationships between every pair of items. 7, place the appropriate symbol at the intersection cell of the matrix. And 8, give weighted scores to show relative importance of items. 9, calculate the final weighted scores for each item. And 10, review the complete matrix with your team in order to make the best decision of your situation. So this can be used over a broad range of decision-making items using the L-shaped matrix.
The L-shaped matrix seems pretty cryptic up to this point, so I really appreciate you putting in this how to build the L-shaped matrix. It kind of made everything a little bit more clear. Thanks for having this in the slide.
The outputs for the L-shaped matrix, I put into more of a questionnaire type slide. So who uses this? The project managers are most likely the recipients of the information, but the whole project team will come up with the information that goes into the graphs. The benefits are to gather information and be able to decipher what information you're comparing and being able to utilize that to make a decision on situations. Why would the recipient use this? Most likely they would use it to gather information and to build upon it with other outputs to make a final decision on an item, or the information they receive from the L-shaped matrix will give them what they need to move forward with the decision. So they would use this to gather information as well as to understand the situation they're in, and then to make good decisions based off that. What decisions can be derived from this? It would really depend on the data that is put into the information, what was put into the graph. Why is this useful? Well, according to Rose, 2014, if customers and requirements are not prioritized, then the project team has a great task of applying limited resources during project implementation, and that is where the L-shaped matrix is useful. So it really gathers, instead of using limited resources, this actually gives you more options for more resources. Other options to gather data, I used 2 of the same type of matrix that we used in the L-shape, but there's actually more, and one's an X-shaped and one's a Y-shaped. The only difference between these is that an X-shaped will show the critical relationships between 4 groups of items on a circular flow, while a Y-shaped will do 3 items, critical relationships on a circular flow, compared to the L shape that we're discussing, which is 1 to itself, or 2. You can use 2 in an L as well. In conclusion, what we went over in this presentation, we went over some practical usages for the L-shaped matrix, some advantages and disadvantages of the L-shaped matrix. We did some inputs, we did some outputs of the L-shaped matrix. We also went through a couple options to gather data in other types of matrices or other data gathering graphs. And then the last page is my references that I use, that I took information from. I didn't use every one of these in-text items that I took information from, but my basis was based out of these 5 references. I appreciate everybody listening to my presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Hey Joe, this is Ben. Thanks for the presentation. I feel like I did learn a lot. I've never heard of this particular method before, but I'm wondering how practical do you think this is, and how often uh, has it been used in the project management field in your research? Um, I've been doing project management for about 5 years, and I've never seen this particular tool used in quality management, so I'm just curious. Thanks.
Hello, Joe. This is Jürgen with some comments about your presentation. Overall, I like it. It's pretty straightforward. You used bullet points and then talked to each one of them without cluttering up all the slides with the content. I like the comparison of the tools that you provided, where to use them and where not. And finally, perhaps you could break up the slides with some graphics to illustrate what you're discussing. So overall, nice job. Thanks.